What's going on there, YouTube and Twitch fans? Just want to give a quick shout out to the FKM Death Division for the support behind all of my YouTube streams and my Twitch content. I also want to give a quick shout out to the person that basically educated me on the build that I'm about to show you, fellow player Rigid. He definitely has been a significant addition to the clan's gameplay, as well as a fellow player in the game. Anyways, what I want to do today is show you guys a build video that we have been working on, and that has made it to where we are able to do almost 1,000,000 damage per tick on the Oxidizer. So let me go ahead and get to it here. So of course specialization is first. We're going to go ahead and see that we are technician. This is basically because of the increased skill damage, because the Oxidizer does feed off of the skill damage. So that part done. It also gives you the beneficial Artificer Hive, which is also part of the build and essential to getting the high ticks of damage. Alright, so let me go into the other parts here. So first of all, you can use the capacitor, or you can use one of the perfectly in sync weapons, the test subject or harmony. I choose to use harmony, but my preferred weapon of choice in this build is going to be the capacitor because the larger damage stack. So I also of course have the reserve with the TDI card custom. It's just a go-to weapon for me. Not a big deal for this build. You can have any weapon in that sidearm slot. But the most important parts of this build that you're going to notice are going to be the pieces of gear. Normally what you would see is someone would run 2 pieces of Walker and Harris. So the Walker and Harris gear can be core attributed over to skill tier. This will allow you to get the skill tiers that you need to be able to produce the damage numbers that you need as well with these primarily core attributed red tiered gear, or weapon damage tiered. And then you'll see that this one here actually has status effects on it, so eventually I'm going to want to make sure that I get that set up to skill haste, but it's also kind of a reserve in case I decide to switch over to a burn build or something like that, as skill damage and status effects both benefit burn builds. But skill haste is the mod in that piece. Over here you're going to see that I've chosen a Wyvern backpack. I go with the talent tech support here. There's multiple talents that you can go with. I choose tech support because it has a longer uptime, which to me uptime means more damage output. And so at 20 seconds for 25%, I just feel like it's a better choice. You can also use the perfect talent that comes with the, I think it's the battery pack. That also gives you a great boost in damage. It's only a 5% more damage, skill damage increase, but it's skill and weapon damage, I believe. That is a great backpack talent, but it also forces you to pop your head out of cover. And because of one of the pieces of this build, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to stay in cover as much as possible, other than when you're firing your Oxidizer. So anyways, moving into the chest piece, one of the most important pieces of this build is going to be the sacrifice. The sacrifice, you definitely need to have skill haste, skill damage. And this piece right here is the perfect glass cannon piece. So the talent here is going to amplify your damage, or all damage that you deal, by 30%. And it's going to amplify all damage you take by 60%. Thus why I said you probably are going to want to use tech support, because then you don't have to stick your head out as much. And your Oxidizer will be getting kills guaranteed. Next, I choose to use the waveform more frequently than I do the Walker and Harris holster to get the Walker and Harris damage to armor 2 piece. I choose to use this piece because I notice that I'm getting larger damage number ticks than I do when I'm using the Walker and Harris. I get consistent ticks with the Walker and Harris, but the damage number ticks actually are much bigger with this holster. And mostly that's because of the way that it shifts from one skill to the other. Granted, I am using an Artificer Hive on one side, so it's not actually affecting that, but it is affecting the Oxidizer on the main side. This holster is also switchable with this other Walker and Harris piece If you put the second Walker and Harris piece on, you're going to get that extra 5% damage to armor. You will notice that your blue ticks or your damage to armor ticks are much larger, and this can be very beneficial when running legendaries or the 100th floor. Other two primary pieces are some named pieces of gear that everybody knows about and has probably used and probably wondered why I got it dropped with skill damage. Well, here it is right here, folks. You got this contractor's gloves, and you want to roll this to skill tier, okay? So you roll that to skill tier, and then you go ahead and make sure that you've picked it up with skill damage, okay? Next is going to be the Fox's Prayer knee pads. Again, everybody's seen these pieces drop with this skill damage and wondered what the hell they were going to use them for. So, yep, this is what you're going to use it for. You're going to roll that red damage core over to skill tier, and bam, you've got a piece for this build. Very easy pieces to find, the Fox's Prayer with the skill damage and the Contractor's Glove with the skill damage. One of the hardest pieces I found was going to be the Sacrifice. That piece was very difficult to find with skill haste and skill damage on it. It makes it just a little bit more of a hunt for you. The other tough pieces to find in this build are going to be the Walker and Harris pieces. Those pieces are extremely difficult to find with skill damage and skill haste. As you see, I have a piece here with status effects and skill damage. Not that much of a big deal because a lot of times you can switch and your fire sticky will hit harder if you have skill damage as well as status effects. So ultimately, the other things that we choose to use here and musts for this build are going to be the Artificer Hive. You either need to run it or somebody else needs to run it. This is very important because it will grant you bonus damage and overcharge basically to your skills that you're using, be it a turret or anything. You can see here that the charge efficiency at tier 6 is 600%. So we definitely want to use the Artificer Hive, okay? And then last but not least, the most infamous piece of the build and the reason why the build was created is going to be the Oxidizer. You definitely want to make sure that you're running the damage mod on this particular item. As far as choosing ammo or haste, that's up to you. You get your ammo back a little faster if you choose the haste. You get an extra piece of ammo if you choose the ammo. I choose ammo just because I have 8 charges that I can pile into a door to take care of the door before anybody comes out. Anyways, that's the build, guys. If you want to see it used, I don't use this build very often, so I can't really say watch some gameplay, but I will do my best to create a video that is actual Oxidizer gameplay for you and put that out very soon. With that, though, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say this is Hop75 signing out. Everybody take care.